All right, guys. So, welcome to episode number 3 of Ask the Stories. All right, guys. So, today's question I get to ask today. Misty asked last week, so I'm going to ask today's question. Of course, if you guys are just tuning in, haven't watched any of our episodes, it's Ask the Stories. Any questions you've got regarding real estate, selling, buying, or even just anything in that matter of real estate, and of course, even business too. So today's question, I always like to ask a question to one another. She doesn't know what it is. I even hide it from her. And of course, she asked me a question, doesn't know what it is. So today's question that we get, and these are questions that we either have someone ask us, or this one I came across the other day in a huge Facebook discussion. And I think to me, it was interesting. I even chimed in, so in one of the groups that we're in. But it's why would I hire a realtor to sell my property when I could just sell it myself? And we actually were just talking about it. So that's all for you. Why hire someone to do it? I can just do it myself. Why not? I'll save the money. Typically it's like 6%, right? You know, so that's my market standard. So why hire?
To save yourself a lot of headache.
Okay. Expand on that.
So if you haven't done it before, then there's a lot of ways that buyers can get out of agreements.
How many ways though?
31.
32.
32.
32 ways you can screw around and lose the deal.
So, yeah, it's best that a professional handle it, someone that's gone through all the training and has done plenty of these.
That's on a transactional side though, because thing is, so on a transactional side, you know, there's so many deals to it, right? It's not just transactional. You got the marketing is one thing. You know, obviously, if you're gonna sell a home, you got to market the home, right? You can't just go and throw it up there and be like, oh, we're just gonna put a sign. You know, it's the pray. You know, it's basically, you know, put on the MLS and pray that it sells. You know, that's a typical agent. But there's marketing involved, there's negotiating, and
you get a lot more buyers too when it's advertised through the MLS.
Yeah. So, but why would you?
More quality buyers as well,
Okay.
that can, you know, get pre-approvals and things like that. Because a lot of the agents are going to require that their buyers have a pre-approval before they go showing them around.
Yeah. but why though? Like go a little further with that. Why wouldn't, you know, this person saying, hey, you know, why would I not? Why would I can just sell it myself. I save 6%. But why else though? There's so many reasons to it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of reasons. Time is one of them. Are you going to want to be available, whether you live in the home or it's maybe an investment property or something that you're selling? Do you want to go show the home? Because most for sale by owner purchasers aren't going to have an agent representing them. So then you have to be the one that's showing the home if you're not represented. So you have to stop whatever you're doing, drive over there, open up the house, show it to them, and then, you know, lock it back up, go back. And so it's a time thing is also one of the reasons.
What about the buyer's mind? So you're a buyer, you drive around, you see it for sale by owner.
They're right there. They want in now.
They want in now, yeah. But I know just from us, I mean, you know, you guys have followed us or know anything. We've been investors for many years, and we didn't do our first for sale by owner, you know, for a while.
For 10 years.
But the reason why was why. We're familiar.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do it? Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable.
Just the legal aspect.
A lot of getting hosed. That's what it was. And a lot of things people think, you know, they don't want to get hosed. They will get hosed actually if you get the right one. We've seen some pretty what is it? Unscrupulous sellers. You know, a buyer could feel like they step up and see a for sale by owner and they're like, hey, they don't want to engage because they feel like they might get hosed on the deal. And so, you know, when we did our first for sale by owner, we hired a lawyer. That was our way of protecting ourselves.
And made sure we closed at a title company.
Yeah, but after that, once we understood the process, which is what we do this for a living, now I'm okay with it. I don't need this, I don't need that. I can do a lot of it myself, but that's also what we do. So it's different. So the uncomfortableness of a buyer may go, I don't want to get involved in that. So they get skipped over, right? Most for sale by owners get skipped over because of that reason primarily is one of the first things, so they're like, oh, we're saving it. But then, that buyer doesn't want to get hosed on the situation.
Another reason is because sometimes sellers talk too much. So it's best to have somebody represent you rather than the buyer and the seller actually communicating together. That could be a bad thing depending on the situation.
We like that because when they talk too much, we get to know a little bit more.
Or be too emotional about the home or the property.
Yeah, that's another one you see. Someone who's, especially if you've lived there, and you're selling it, you walk in, it's just memory city, right? It could be your family, it could be whatever went on in the house, and so. There we go. All right, cool. We're back up. I was all shutting down. So for sale by owner, between feeling like they're getting hosed and not trusting the seller talking too much, emotional, feel like maybe you've lived that property forever and you're emotional about it, and selling it is a hard thing. So having someone who's not emotional about the property, can help. And then price points as well. That's another one too. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Texas is what's called a non-disclosure state, which means you don't have to disclose what you sold the property for. And so the only ones that know that are our agents and brokers. They're the only ones that know that. So a realtor will be able to look that up and say, this is how much you should probably sell it for. And then of course my favorite one, probably in here is when you go to become an agent, what they don't do is they don't teach you how to market, they don't teach you how to negotiate, and all of those extra skills that you need. And if you are not good at negotiations, which most people are not, they don't understand it, they don't do sales for a living, and then most people are not marketers, which is why you have marketing companies that make money marketing stuff, whether it be a home or a widget or whatever else. If you're not good at those things, it makes it really, really difficult, so it's one of those situations that, you want to make sure, that you're, not in that situation to where, you step up to go negotiate and you don't know how to negotiate. And so now you're sitting here getting more, a lot less for your money, or for your house than you should have. So anything you want to add to that?
Also for follow-up and making sure you have all the correct documents and meet all the correct deadlines.
Yeah.
Because that's a big one. If you don't include, say, your T-47 with your survey or what have you, and depending on what's checked off on the actual contract and all that, then the buyer has a way out or has more time that you didn't think they did.
Yeah,
so.
It's a recourse deal. You gotta remember that what you're doing is you're buying some. It could be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 property, whatever price point, but it's a recourse. You screw it up, it's on you. You know what I mean? If it goes to court, whatnot, you don't want to end up putting a bunch of money down and then you lose the money because you didn't know what you were doing. Or if as a buyer, that's the way that they look at it, and then as a seller, you don't want to put a home up for sale and then someone steal it out from under you for less than what you should have got it for.
Or they tie up the property for longer and then end up backing out and you have to refund their earnest money because of didn't meeting some kind of deadline or something.
Yep, tons of reasons. So we can go on for days about why not to do for sale by owner. Unless, I will say this, if you're an experienced investor, it's what you do. I don't think there's anything wrong with for sale by owner if you know what you're doing. But if you are the average, I've just got to sell my home, don't get hosed. Don't get hosed by a good buyer, because a good buyer too, like Misty and myself, we understand what we're looking at. If you we're not going to, but there are people out there who will take advantage of somebody if they otherwise are doing it, wrong. They'll be like, oh, cool. Yeah. Misty's corrected a few buyers, before, like, hey, you need to get this done. Even though she could have left it alone and the buyer would have been hosed, she's actually had to go back and make that change. That was one last year. She had to go and kind of say, hey man, you need to make that change. to make it fair for all parties. But some parties, man, they'll wash their hands clean and go, I'm gonna hose this guy. So anyhow, but yeah, that's definitely for sale by owner all day long. If you're not professional, if you don't do it for a living, don't step at the plate and do for sale by owner. And that would be my biggest one. So, but anyhow, if you guys have questions, if you're like, hey, you know what, I had a question, drop it in the comments, send us a message. Anything real estate related, or buying a home, selling a home, or business related, things like that. So it's just Ask the Stories, guys. We'll do it once a week. That's our once a week for this week. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will catch y'all next week.